it's Sally here. Just a quick one. If you like this really sweary podcast by Kelechi, do remember to rate and review Say Your Mind on Apple Podcast, okay? Now for the very urban intro music.
It's the Benz Brunani womanist, baby boys, baby girls, you need to hear this. Sit down, receive this realness. Make sure your cup's ready for the tea, we are go sip it, yo. Hard time scrolling for your long shorts. You might learn something you never know. Collect you fine, and she's one of a kind. Don't say you're mine, say you're mine.
You said you would win this time. Instead, God took your shine. You didn't want to hear me, yeah. Here you stand, trying not to cry, asking yourself why you didn't win this trophy, yeah. Since I'm still around for me to tell you, bitches, face to face. I'm singing you this letter, and this is what I have to say. All I really wanted was what was mine. Instead, you told me reparations wasn't on your mind. What you did to me, woo. You won't be lifting trophies. If you gave things back and did what was simply right, you see this curse would live and your blood clot flag could fly. What you did to me, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh. Well, you know you're not fucking singing. You're just like, whoa to it. No one asked you. That was not a run at all. That wasn't even a walk. Don't do it. But yes, as you can see, the reason that you're getting this episode, or if you're listening, but you can also see this because it's going to be on IGTV later. But the reason that this is coming out later than usual is because we actually recorded on the Monday. Who's we? Well, if you're looking, you can clearly see. That is myself and the incredible Receipts podcast.
Yes.
Bob. So it's me, Kelechi, in a Rascal Place to Be. And we've got...
It's your girl, Tolly T.
Woo! Just call me Audrey.
And your mamacita Milena Sanchez.
Ow! Oh my God. We're doing it.
Doing it.
Finally.
I can't believe this.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm
Yeah,
so glad.
same.
I'm so glad to have you all on here. I mean, Audrey, we know you now. I mean Son Sadiq, but you know,
Son Sadiq. Yeah, we miss him, but
we miss him.
I have so much time for Sadiq, by the way. I don't know if you know this.
everything.
I have so much time for him.
He's such a baby boy.
Yeah, I have a lot of time.
I
in the
know
world
that
for
he
him.
would have loved to be here.
Oh.
He's got work in him. They're doing their working
I
from
hate
home and all.
slavery.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
God.
All the Zoom calls. But yeah, welcome to another episode of SYM, officially known as Say Your Mind, unofficially known as what? That's right. Suck your mum. Thank you. Oh my God.
Suck your madre.
Suck your mother.
Suck your mother.
Madre.
No, I'm so excited that you're all here. This is the best thing ever. Congratulations on Keep the Receipt.
Yeah.
Woo, woo. Da, 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 da.
She was born.
Authors.
I know, right?
Crazy.
There's some authors in this house.
There's some authors in this house.
Hey.
I quite like that, actually.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm going to steal that. I'm going to use it somewhere else. No, it's sick, man. I can't believe it's a thing that's actually happened. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I saw it. Do you know what? I'll be deadly honest. When we first got asked about it, I thought it was premature.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was premature for the longest time as well. And I think that's because of how I see books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see them as this really prestigious thing where maybe I thought I wasn't worthy of doing yet. Or maybe I thought I had to earn a lot more stripes before
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like, and because I think like this is going to sit in the same world as like Bell Hooks book sits on. And like, do you know like the legends of like
established
just because it's
authors.
also a book. Yeah, not because it's on that level, but because it's also a book, it's going to sit on that world. And I just thought, am I there yet?
I think for me, it was like, what was that going to look like? How are we going to not just let it be what we do on the podcast? Like, how are we going to open up even more? And what else were we going to say? Even though I knew that we had so much more to give, but it was just like, what kind of formats were we going to do?
Yeah, definitely.
But you felt like it was premature, but then it took its time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a whole journey that you had along
Yeah.
the way as well. And I think that even when you think that, you still started, and the journey also informed what you ended up with
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the end.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just think it's incredible. Like, I've been taking my time reading it. Thank you, Audrey.
Oh, my pleasure.
I read that bit and I cried. Thank you.
Aw.
That was beautiful. But no, I think that all three of you have done an incredible job with this, and the team that worked with you on it is really, really great. And again, like you said, Milena, how do you take the kind of structure of the podcast and then move it into book form in a way that you feel like you can explore lots of things, be vulnerable, and still have it make sense?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And not just feel like a chat. I don't want it to feel like a
Yeah.
transcript.
Yeah.
And here were the things they've all said in the podcast, and like
Yeah.
I just wanted it to. Yeah, I wanted to flex my writing skills a little bit as well. I was like, sis,
Because
you've been
you're
doing,
right,
you've been doing
this.
this.
You can
Yeah.
write. You can like, and I had to like talk myself out of the whole thing of this is premature, and it's like it's fine. Like,
But we have to think about that. Like, why do we have to be excellent before we can do our
I know.
things? You are excellent. Let's get that. Let's just get that out there. You are. But I think like when we are kind of I don't know, analyzing ourselves, we're the ones that go, nah.
not yet.
Nah.
Yeah.
I want it to be perfect before it goes out. But we do that. And I think especially as like Black women of color, you sit there and you're like, nah, it's just not ready for the world, because we feel like we have to go out there nicely, neatly packaged, because we see what
Yes.
happens to people
Who
when
are
they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like when you don't have confidence anyways, to actually place yourself in a space where you feel like, you know what, I am worthy and I am deserving of this. Like, it's very, very hard as well to actually remind yourself that, yeah, do you know what, you can do this.
Yeah.
And imposter syndrome is a thing as well. I speak about it in the book. It's like, I think that for me, that played like a massive part. Like what Tolly was saying about it being premature, it wasn't, because we've also been doing this for 5 years. 5 years is like a long time. It's not a baby boy, baby girl, baby non-binary amount of time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like you kind of just have to like get out of that space.
But literally all three of you are writers though. That's why I think it's wild that you could all sit there and be like, maybe it's premature. Like, you study journalism, Audrey, and you study journalism as well. And then and Milena, you're a songwriter. So you've all been writing in different facets and different aspects.
Yeah.
And then suddenly someone goes, well, write a book, just a longer version of
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
you're like, nah.
Feels
Don't
a bit
want
much.
to.
Yeah, it's because I was just comparing it to all of the other books that I've read and that mean a lot to me and that mean a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just don't. And also, that's one thing. Like, a lot of things, right, I can be like, whatever, but I can actually come and down the line for this podcast and my writing.
Yeah.
Those are two things I'm very precious about. Anything
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
money I
Yeah.
have to make, I do what I need to do, whatever. But there's two things I'm so precious about.
Yeah.
And these are these two things. And now they're together in a space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't take criticism well.
Yeah.
I think it's
hear that.
definitely scary, like when you open up and you end up being so vulnerable in something that's so permanent, and then you put it out there. And like you said, I think because you have a different relationship, like with reading and books, where you read it, you appreciate it. Whereas if somebody doesn't have that sort of love for books and they're reading our stories and stuff, and they're just like, oh yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, it was all right. Like, no, do you know how much? It's like showing someone a song that you've worked so hard on doing, and it's like, bro, you're not actually, like, you're looking at the person like, are you hearing the lyrics?
Yeah.
Are you hearing that beat? And they don't get it. And it's like, and then it makes you doubt what you've done, because it's like, I thought this was banging, but clearly.
But then I was like, do you know what? Everyone can go suck out, because at the end of the day, this is like, honestly, there's no right or wrong, because it's our stories.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's such a thing as right or wrong when it comes to people's lived experiences, people's truth. So, I mean, it either resonates with you or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But there's no right or wrong.
And at the end of the day, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you would appreciate the book.
Yeah.
And then if you're coming to it as somebody who's never heard the podcast, you're just going to appreciate it because you've got three women here just going, boom.
Yeah.
These are our experiences.
Yeah.
And like you say, you don't have to agree. Like, your experience could be vastly different.
Yeah.
Go and write your own book.
No, literally. That part.
Like, literally.
No, that part.
Yeah.
So,
And like, places are good for that. Self-publishing, you can do better with that. Like, baby, like, you can do it.
There's
Fine.
vlogs. Blogs.
Blogs,
You can do
blogs,
vlogs.
all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very, very good
Slogs,
point. Whatever you need to
Slogs.
do.
Yeah, go and do
Get your story out there.
It's simple. No, I think that is amazing, but we're going to be talking about it a lot more very shortly. Let's get into the tarot then. Tarot for this week. What should the focus be?
Oh,
What
what
do
do
you
we
wanna
have? Pick
focus-
one each.
Imagine,
I
Tolly.
don't know how it works. I'm
Careers.
sorry.
You could discuss what careers you want.
I don't know.
No,
about
no, 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 no.
careers.
I don't want them to know.
Right.
I think direction.
Direction.
Yeah.
Direction.
Direction in what way?
Direction in like
Where are we going?
where we going? No, I'm joking. Like kind of just about decisions that might be floating.
Okay. So general life decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
exactly.
General life decisions. Milena, do you have the honor of shuffling the cards?
Oh,
Got this,
yeah,
girl.
baby.
Yes. So we've got the Modern Witch, Lisa Starr Modern Witch Tarot deck. So you can pick, if you shuffle that and then pick 3 cards from there.
This is my shuffling.
You're shaking as well. I do think I would also be nervous. I'm like this, my hands.
No, because if one falls
Oh,
out,
God.
yeah, she'll grab that one. That's the universe trying to tell her.
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Whichever one comes out, that's the one we're taking.
I was like, okay. Why do I feel nervous? What's wrong with me?
But you just said direction is so vague. It's not like someone went, "Oh, my love life."
I should have
My
said
love
that, to be
life.
fair. I think I need more help in that department. to be
Direction on
fair,
that one.
because
Cool. So we'll be
God needs to
focusing.
take supreme.
We'll be focusing on
Don't worry. This
love life and just general direction.
Do you know what it is? I'm having a really weird time at the moment where I am like, sorry, nobody asked you this. I was going to start talking about
But I feel like it's the kind of space that
About to
you end up in.
expose her
You have to shuffle the other
business.
ones, Milena.
I was
You've
going to
got
start exposing
3.
myself.
You're like
Three other
just
decks.
shuffling every day. I shuffle.
will I get married?
Will I get married?
Them questions there.
Boy. Everyone rushing. You just be there
Mate,
mopping.
take time.
Relax yourself.
Yeah, like
please.
take
Relax
time on this
yourself.
thing. Take time. It's meant to be a forever thing, so
Just
take time.
live your life. It's not every day. Every day up and down the aisle, please.
There's the last one.
Pick one.
Those 2.
I only got to shuffle all of them.
Right,
What
so-
I hate about this year. Oh, go on.
No, I was going to ask about the cards.
Yeah.
They all represent. So you said that was the witch of.
So no. So this.
Did you not say witch? I said
No, she
God,
did,
I said
she did.
witch.
So this
Okay,
deck.
good.
This deck is called the Modern Witch Tarot deck
See?
by Lisa Starr.
Okay.
Of all the
Because
words,
of
of
my
all the
words.
letters that she heard, it was
That's the witch one, right?
Witches and Windsor.
No, hear me out. What are the other decks called?
And so this one is one of my favorites ever. This is called the Black Angel deck of cards.
Okay.
By Zenju Flynn Manuel, and it's kind of depicted as black people. And then we've got the Spiritual Seasoning for the Soul
Okay.
Oracle cards, and then we've got the Wisdom of the Oracle deck as well.
Okay.
So
Is there anything else you need?
that's it. Thank
Okay,
you so
cool. Well
much.
done.
You
Good job,
shuffled,
baby.
baby. Well done.
Thanks.
So
Great assistance.
the Modern Witch Tarot deck is literally just it's designed to follow the way that the traditional tarot deck looks, but it's just with women.
Ah, nice.
All
Oh,
of them
okay.
is just
Okay.
depicted as women.
Okay, cool.
And it's just absolutely beautiful. So it looks like Spirit's actually going to be talking about relationships from what I can see.
I mean, honey.
But let's see. So, and at the bottom of the deck, we've got that.
Universe, come through.
Come through. All right, cool. So let me just grab
Generally,
these
my
ones.
heart
then.
is
Oh,
racing.
me too. I'm
What
like,
is wrong with me?
Let's see what message comes through. Milena,
Because I've been needing
one
a
more
word.
thing. Just pick one card out of those 2 decks that you've got in front of you there, so then I won't reach for them, and then I know that it was your judge that touched it. Your energy.
It's your
energy.
vibe.
Yeah.
good energy.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I wanted. I want that energy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good energía.
In any Martin.
por favor. Energy, universe, please help us out.
Cool. All right. So we've got all of our cards, but yeah. Cool, because it's good to have extra energy as well, so it's not just mine. But you shuffled it and you picked that, and then I just helped you pick these 3 out of the deck, right? So the first card that came out, can't even see it. It's probably far. It's the Tower card. You see that?
It's on fire.
It's on fire.
Fire.
It's on fire.
It's fire. It came out in reverse, and then you've got the Knight of Pentacles.
Oh, okay.
Okay, night.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then that came out in reverse, and then we've got the 2 of Cups.
Okay.
And that was upright. So we put them back in the order that they came out in so I can see them, just get a feel for what's going on here. So we said we're looking at direction and just general things about relationships and life. So the first thing I see here is that the Tower card in reverse, the chaos has already happened. The destruction that you were so scared of has already happened. So there's this, and it's in the past. So because it was the first card that came out and I'm reading this forward, the thing that you were scared of that, oh my God, I can't imagine what my life would be like if this thing were to happen, this destruction, it's already taken place, right? and it's taken place, but you still keep thinking that you're in that space. So new opportunities are arriving. So if we're saying that this is a relationship, we're seeing the Knight of Pentacles. There is a patient energy. There's probably somebody around who's probably always been around that they've never been like overly in your face, because the Knight of Pentacles, as you can see, the horse is not moving. Right? So they've been very steady and sturdy about the fact that they want to help. They want to be there. But because you're still stuck in this energy of, oh, but my world is upside down and everything's destroyed and I've lost everything, you're unable to see the value in this person or this opportunity. So even if it's not a person for some people, it's the value in the opportunity that's now arisen, because I've been told that grief requires that I be sad for 4 years. So I'm going to perform sadness. And so you have to stop lying to yourself that you're actually not sad anymore. You're not sad in the way that you were sad when the thing first happened, but you want to perform the good person, the good partner, or the good ex, or the good daughter, or the good or the loyal person that was working for a particular organization, let's say, right? So they fired you. Or so everything's ended, or the company's gone under. So no one even fired you. The company's gone under. And then you're like, oh, I need to be sad for them. Meanwhile, there are opportunities waiting for you and you're scared to take the opportunities because I need to be sad for everybody else. And fuck them. I'm not being sad for anybody. Fuck them. But when we're looking at it in the relationship sense, I need to hang out a little bit longer, looking sad for a little bit longer, because what are people going to say if it looks like I'm happy and good things are happening for me? And so, Spirit, God's saying to you that, but I've prepared a table for you in the presence of your enemies. Like I've done the work to give you the things that you said you desired. Like when nobody else was hearing you, when you were pretending to everybody else, I heard your prayers and I'm giving you what you asked for, and I'm giving it to you in a form that will last. And you're scared to take it because what are other people going to say? But the mad thing is that people are always going to have something to say. People are never going to stop talking. So we have to come to an agreement here. It's like what God's, like I'm getting from God, like we have to come to an agreement here. Do I give you the blessings or do we keep pretending? Because if I'm going to give you the blessings, then I'm going to need you to man the fuck up. And man, I'm using very gender neutral here, but person the fuck up, right? I'm going to need you to step into your glory, and stepping into your glory means you have to be okay with people being like, oh my God. So that's who they've gone with, or that's the job they want to do now. Yeah, that's what God called me to, because this is reciprocity. This is reciprocity. Like you've asked for life to meet you halfway. You've asked for the person that's going to be able to pour into you the way that you deserve to be poured into, the way that you pour into other people. You've asked for the job that's going to fulfill you, you with all the passion that you have that you want to put into the world. You've asked for these things, and then God's like, here you go. And you're like, oh no, I can't take it because I'm sorry. Like people are gonna say things. So this, if we're talking about direction, then so let's go back to direction is what I'm feeling now. So let's go back to direction. The path has already been made clear to you. You're pretending like you don't know how to walk down it. You don't have many options, really. The path is very, very clear as to what you now need to do, and you know that. But you're scared to know that because it means that what will I leave behind? And actually, do I want my blessings? Like, am I ready for my own blessings? Am I worthy of my own blessings? That's a conversation you need to have with yourself. Like, if you've felt any sort of shame before, there is any crevice within your body, within your psyche, where shame still resides, that makes you feel like you're not deserving of certain things because maybe you've done certain things, or you just feel like, oh, the better things happen for people that don't look like me. God's like, no, the best things are happening for you as you look as exactly who you are. God didn't ask you to change. Like, God doesn't need you to be perfect because there's no such thing as perfection. So waiting to be perfect to walk down the road that's already been prepared before you, all the obstacles have been removed. And a lot of people can feel the energy this year, all the obstacles that were in your way, like let's say last year to the year before, suddenly those things are moved away, right? And you can finally go down the path, and then you're scared to go down the path because you're scared of leaving people behind, or you're scared of what's waiting for you there. But all that's waiting for you there is glory. All that's waiting for you there is the love that you've asked for. But you have to be willing to walk the path. You just have to be prepared for the fact that as you're walking down that path, there are going to be little fucking owls and little wolves on the side, like making the most noise. But do you want the blessing or not? That's the message that comes through from that. From the spiritual seasoning for the soul deck. That by me, the card that came out for you is you are the sole authority when it comes to your life. Act like it. So that, and Milena picked that out. So that further confirms what's come out there. Stop pretending like you don't know how to live your life. And I feel like sometimes we all know how to chat bad. I do it. We all know how to chat bad about, well, no one can tell me because But you know deep down, there is a part of you, because we all have it, the inner child that's still scared of criticism, that's still scared of being rejected, that's still scared of being ostracized. You don't want to take a step wrong. But if your steps are divinely ordered, even when it appears to people that you've taken a step wrong, you're still walking the path that has been set before you. And you've always got to remember that when things feel a bit lonely, always remember that you're walking the path that's been set for you. And as long as you're praying and you're doing the things that you need to do, you don't have to worry about what other people have to say, because they were going to talk anyway. And then the card that, again, Milena picked, that you've got from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, is here and now. And you can see that if you want to have a look, it's like an egg. And you can see that they're looking for direction. There's someone sitting on an egg and they're looking for direction. What number is that?
32.
32. So let's see what it says here. Number 32. 32. Okay, so this is what the card says in the book. Everything happens in the now, in the present. Only this moment counts. You have what it takes to handle anything today if you let go of the need to look into the future or reflect on the past. Be present and notice what is going on right now. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles. And that's your Knight of Pentacles here. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles in your life. Relationship message here says, it's easy to yearn for a love affair or friendship you may not have right now. One that is more romantic, more fun, more reliable, more passionate. The good old days are gone and a new day has dawned. Let your heart trust that you have everything you need right now, whether you have the relationship you desire or not. Tomorrow is beyond your reach. Yesterday cannot return. The now is all that's available to you. Stay present and aware that in this moment, as you cherish and approve of your beautiful self, you are a magnet for love. Spirit is madly in love with you. And this is another way to look at this. Like I said to you, like God's prepared a table before you. That is you being given, back and forth. You pray and then God gives you the things that you've asked for. That's the back and forth that's happening here. Like, you want someone to love you the way that God fucking loves you. You want a job to respect you the way that God fucking respects you. And if anything less, it's just not worth your fucking time. And that's what you're being told here, that Spirit is madly in love with you right now. Did you know that? Turn to Spirit to feel the joy of love in the here and now. Prosperity message says, what you are working on is golden and your efforts will leave a powerful legacy. But. Focus not on meeting a goal in the far off future, but on creating your dream now. Releasing your desire for an outcome and owning that it already exists, it will appear in the material world as if by magic. Claim your prosperity now. The essence is more important than the form. When you are immersed in prosperous thoughts, you automatically tune into the sense of timelessness and unlimited potential. You can act as if, in spite of the temporary outer conditions, you are prosperous at this moment. What you think now becomes your reality. Stay present. And I don't know if anyone needs the protection message. The protection message says, whenever you find your mind drifting into the past, wondering if things could have or should have been better, or whenever you find yourself longing for the good old days, you leak power. The same is true of looking too far ahead and hoping the future will provide you with certainty. Driven by ambition, you might wander too long in a space with no substance and forget that you are here today. The past and future are illusions. Whenever you leave the present moment, you're disconnecting from your inherent power to manifest your reality with true substance. Neither past nor future can give you what you need. Now is all that counts. Come back from those eternities and be here now. All will be well, and miracles will appear as if by magic in the perfect timing of spirit. And that is the word, because this is what this Knight of Pentacles signifies. Again, I say to you, like, notice how the horse just isn't moving. Because when that horse is ready to move, we already know how horses move. So when that horse is ready to move, with the time that God has like said, like, boom, this is when you're going to have your things, nobody's going to be able to stand in the way of that, not even you. So you have to just like hold that in mind, that you haven't not been heard. It's just going to take getting used to the fact that, wow, it's probably already here. And then the card that we've got from the Black Angel deck of cards is the Warrior. And it's got 3 faces.
Yeah.
And the Warrior final card. The final card says, let's see here. Your soul is a spiritual warrior. You work at integrating body, mind, and spirit as you need the congruency between what you feel, think, and do. Your focus and attention are usually on what is good for you, as you know this is best. You experience spirit through your physical life. Spirit is not out there somewhere for you. So you attend to and accomplish many physical manifestations. You have great presence, and some may bend towards you because of it or bend away from your force. You live by the camaraderie codes of integrity and loyalty. Friends are important to you, and you look for them to join you in life. You are a warrior. You are of the warrior soul clan that needs balance between the various aspects of your life. You are aware and enjoy the many facets of yourself. In fact, you have a strong ability to bring forth the necessary inner qualities needed for every situation in your life. You have been initiated by your past struggles, which have prepared you for whatever may come your way. Your gaze is still and sure. You are a warrior for your own soul. On the waking path, you are attuned to yourself when your life is in turmoil. When a warrior enters the sleeping path, the attunement dwindles. You may not be aware of your actions when circumstances overwhelm you. It becomes difficult to access the concentration of your various personas. In this state, your camaraderie with others can become distorted, and you are manipulated into doing battles for others while neglecting your own life. The internal fragmentation can cause you to move from job to job or relationship to relationship, feeling dissatisfied and disappointed. Confusion arises and sets in, keeping you from making needed changes in your life. In fragmentation, you may take on wearing various masks to survive. If you stay on the sleeping path, it becomes difficult to call on your concentrated warrior self. You may find your energy going towards battling different parts of yourself. This battle becomes an internal struggle between mind, body, and spirit. You may have a feeling of being dishonest or pretending to be who you're not. To bring back harmony, tranquility, and protection, embrace the unacceptable aspects of who you are along with the acceptable ones. This does not necessarily mean that you love what's unacceptable, but rather that you attend to your whole self. In essence, bringing the warrior forward is to bring a strength forward that is built on your whole being, all of who you are. Watch your habits of caretaking and putting yourself in positions in which you can be manipulated to care for someone who is very capable of taking care of their own life. Stagnation is deadly to you. Lift the veil and take a look at all the relationships in which there is no movement. Find creative ways to move stale and smelly waters. Warrior, you have fought battles for everyone and attended to their woes. Now it is time for you to do the same for yourself. Bring your life home, shelter it, stay in your life, and be prepared for your own storms that are sure to come. So that's the word.
Shit, then.
The tarot was taroting.
Right? As Sadiqa loves to say.
Bring your soul home.
Yeah.
It's not the cup we're bringing home. So
Right?
Yeah,
We're not bringing that. That's not coming home.
Yeah.
But if they brought themselves home and realised the fuckery that they've done, maybe the cup
Yeah.
will come
Yeah.
home. Then it
How
will
about
come
that?
home.
I think that's the most silent I've ever been ever in my life.
Sorry.
I've always got things to say. Well, actually, I was just silent. I just listened. Which is
how
nice.
do you feel about doing that? Because obviously this isn't something that you've been comfortable with in the past, isn't it? So for you to sit here and actually hear all of that.
Do you know what? For me, for the longest time, it was. I think, to be fair, I've probably like dealt with this earlier. I fit into every black woman trope, as in in terms of like, it's God and it's this, it's
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
don't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And for the longest time, I did fit into that world. Even like, don't get cleaner because as a black woman, you should be able to clean, cook, and like all of the suffering that came with it, all of the good that came with it. I was like, I'm gonna wear all of that. And like, last couple of years, I've been removing many of things and just figuring out what's mine, what's stuck on me, and I need to like peel off like it's gum, and what's actually mine and what I want to wear and what I believe in and things like that. So it didn't feel uncomfortable for me because I've been working on that whole like it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not this against this.
Yeah.
It's the melding.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the melding of things.
So that understanding has made things. But before I wouldn't even be in the room. I'm like, well.
Witches and wizards, all right.
When you said the witch cards.
Yeah.
Run,
sent them to me.
run. But you know, I think that that's ultimately it. Like we all go through that. Well, I pray that we all go through that journey where we start realizing that thing that God speaks to us in so many different ways. Like God can speak to you on a billboard, you know, anywhere, and it's where you're willing to be open enough to get your messages, because when that message hits, it fucking hits.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even pretend that it's not for you. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
because it's just that reminder that you're more than a physical body, and we're more than just the cultures that actually are. And Audrey, you mentioned it in the book as well about, you know, colonization and what that does to us and how we understand certain things, right? And so this movement, this way that we've run away from trusting ourselves, like we're literally, if we're reading in the Bible that it says that we were created in the image of God, remembering that that's been translated so many times, when you come back to it, you're still being told like you are literally a mini God. Like you remembering your link, your connection to God, so you can get the messages that you need, so you can be the best fucking person you can be while you're here. And that message is gonna try and find you in so many different ways. And I think that when you see people moving mad everywhere, specifically online, now I kind of read it as they're so far removed from their God self.
Yeah.
Like, why? How can I get vexed?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's what's important when I, you know, see people succeeding like yourselves, like doing what you're doing. It's just like, as you attune to yourself, and we've seen that on the podcast, we've seen that on the receipts, like, or we've listened to it on the receipts. We've been there with you growing.
Yeah.
We've been there with
absolutely.
you growing. We've been there with you unlearning, and that's directly correlated with the momentum or the trajectory of your success. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I feel like the more that we step into the person that we're destined to be, the more easy it is for our blessings to find us.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
And that would be ready to receive them.
Yes.
It was when you were saying about leaving people behind, because that is like word for word a conversation I've had with my therapist, I think last week actually, which is that like I am so fearful. And it's really weird because I never thought I was that person. I was like, I needed to be liked or whatever. But I have this thing of like, wherever I go, I need to bring everyone with me. And she was like, you don't have to carry that. Like, you can leave people behind. Like, it's okay to live in this new light that you're living in, not feel like, but I don't want someone to feel away. And I don't want them to feel like they think my success has changed me or whatever. Like,
it has.
Ultimately, it has. But
Going outside to the bus stop has changed me.
Yeah.
I can watch a show on Netflix that changes me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's this consistent need of like, I need to bring my community along. I need to bring all of my family along. I don't want anyone to ever feel like, is it not Tolani? And like, that's just how she is. And it's a case of like, and she was like, you don't want to be disliked. I was like, no, I don't care if anyone likes me. She was like, no, I'm not saying that you care if a random person likes you or not. You don't want to leave people behind. But she was like, that means you never sit in where you're at. Because you're so concerned about, I want to stay with them.
Yeah.
So no one ever thinks, she thinks she's above us. I just need to stay here with you people.
Yeah.
So nobody can ever, and it's like, let me take care of everybody. So then it looks like, you know, I'm sharing. And, you know, I'm being a good child. And that's just what you do. And especially from a family where it's like, my mum's always very giving. Nothing was ever just yours.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if something good happened and you were like, I don't like, let's say you got given a gift and you didn't like it, but I can take it away from you then.
Yeah.
So anytime sometimes even good things happen, I'm like, even if I want to complain to myself, and I was like, oh no, I can't because what if it gets taken away from me?
Yeah.
But like, something good can happen. You can want it to be better.
It's simple as it.
And it's okay to not
It can
take
be really
it as well.
good, but you can still be like, no, I can. It can be better.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And I never have that because I just feel that if I don't appreciate something, someone will take it away. Yeah, so that rang true in terms of like feeling like you don't want to leave anyone behind and take everybody, this caretaker aspect part of it.
But you mentioned in the book, like, you're the youngest.
Yes.
And that's an interesting thing because usually the youngest people are very, well, you are, like, but they're very hyper independent. Like, I'm going to go it alone and I'm going to go do my thing. But then there is still that aspect of Nigerianness, Yoruba-ness, womanness that's just like, oh, I want to go forge ahead because I see new land that I want to explore. not in a colonization way. But I want to go ahead. I want to go and see that, but everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It is, but everybody, consistently, but everybody else. And what would I say? And also, history has shown me that other women in my family who have done that, they've not been talked about well.
Yes.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? If there was
What
that
do we
road
say?
auntie,
What do we say about the aunties?
the road auntie that just left. It's like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to get mad. I don't want to do anything. I want to live my life.
Yeah.
The way your families talk about them, I was like,
the self-
that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Funke.
Exactly.
Is it not Funke? That's
call anybody.
55 years old, no husband. And be like,
Exactly.
but she's living her life. Look at her.
she's so happy.
Exactly. But you hear how the rogue aunties are talked about.
Yeah.
So you're even scared of that. But it's literally true. It's the auntie that didn't take the path that everybody else took.
Yeah.
The auntie that did leave her husband after he was abusive to her. The auntie that did all the things that for herself.
Right.
The way they talk about the auntie is that,
Yeah.
So you're wary of that conversation being spoken about you as well, in this weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
It's an interesting one. It's a weird balancey one.
I think for me, the card where it says like, you know, when you're so stuck in the past and then maybe so stuck in the future, that you should just take what now is given you and like bask in it and embrace it instead of thinking of like what could be or what has been. Because I feel like for me, there's been a very, very long time where I've lived my life with everything that's happened with me in the past. And then like I literally can't even enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, what if I take this path? What if I take that path? And I have so many different avenues and I'm like trying to figure out the destination on every single one. And I'm just like, no, how about just enjoy what you're doing now and just take it.
It's that trust, isn't it? It's that trust.
Yeah.
That I'll be all right. No matter how chaotic everything is, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And whatever decision I make in this moment is the best decision that I could have possibly made
Right.
in this
Yeah.
moment, like based on who I am right now.
Yeah.
If I was someone different, maybe I would have made a different decision. But based on who I am right now, I'm going to make this decision and come what may.
The maddest thing is, like the other day, I was in a therapy session and I sat down and I was like, don't you think it's so mad that I would trust other people rather than trust in myself?
Yeah.
And that is really mad to me. So like working on that and being able to trust my choices, my decisions, my body, because obviously I suffer so badly with health anxiety and anxiety in general. It's just like, no, I've been really putting my life in other people's hands and other situations and stuff. So yeah, that one.
But I think that's interesting that you say that because it's I've talked about my nose. I've talked about it on the podcast before about ego, right? And how like for us, our ego doesn't want to die. So it would prefer to not be present because if we're in the present moment, then there is no need for it because we're very, very present. And then that's when like our spirit, like our God self is right here because we're more tuned into the element or the energy of the observer. And that's our God self, you know, the kind of you that's watching something happening. But ego comes in and is like, well, let's think about next week. No, don't be present right now. Let's think about, remember what happened 4 years ago. Let's think about that instead because the ego needs a reason to be. The ego needs for you to fear something, right? So when you were talking about like health anxiety and wanting to be in the past, wanting to be in the future, giving other people kind of like autonomy over life, your life, that's ego, right?
Yeah.
Ego's like, well, let's give it to everybody else because if this shit fucks up, we can blame them.
And
then we can be like, look, the world was never safe anyway. And that's why you need me, ego, here to remind you that the world was never safe anyway. And then we get to that point where we're just like, okay, the world is a bit mad, very mad, in fact, but I trust that I'm divinely protected and I'm going to figure this out and I'm taking ownership over my life. And whatever happens, at least I said that I did it. It's cool. How is it for you, Audrey? You're proper contemplating.
I know, like proper. The thing is, the tarot always drags me every single week. Like all the decks, they all speak to me in different ways. But I definitely, what I took from it was the burning building thing.
Yes.
Because it's like this destruction has happened and like you're very aware of it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like taking the good and leaving the bad and just like, because I'm someone that's really good at compartmentalizing.
Yes.
Like I'm so amazing at it. Like I can be going through, the world could be upside down. No one will know.
Yeah.
I'll just park it over here and I can concentrate and I can be in this line of thought. Do you know what I mean? So when you mentioned that, I was like, like that's actually so true. And it's like, you know, things can happen and you have dealt with it, but you're still choosing to be in that place. Like it's the most bizarre thing. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to say it without saying it because I don't want to
Yeah.
spill my own tea.
Yeah.
But it resonated with me. That's what I was
Yeah. And there's a chapter in the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
No, but I think that is a point. I think that sometimes we do dwell in that place, and I've said it on the podcast before, even with the childhood of like sexual abuse and stuff, you dwell in that place until you find somewhere safe for you to work through it. And I think it's a lifelong thing as well. Something can happen, very random, could be like a business thing, and then something else is triggered in your mind, and you start breaking it down, and it's like, rah, I'm still coming back to this point. So I think that, you know, whatever happens, the destruction stays where it stays, and then we kind of move on, but with that energy, we still kind of come back to it. But it's trusting ourselves enough to be like, I can be happy again. And even if other things happen down the line, because that's what life is. Life is so chaotic. I will be fine then too. And you know, I'll keep moving. But more than likely, we only move towards abundance. We only move towards grace. Like we only move towards like mercy. So everything will be fine in the end. And if it's not fine, then it's not the end.
not the end.
Yeah.
It's not the end,
Honestly,
baby.
there was a book that I was reading by Karen Allen, and it's called Broken into Beautiful Pieces. And she was literally saying that. She was like, trust in God. Like, if it's not good, it is not the end. And she was like, using your brokenness in useful ways. So like useful ways of using your brokenness is like learning from it, growing from it, not making the same mistakes, taking the lessons. And then useless brokenness is staying in that.
Yeah.
Staying in that sorrow forever, not learning from it, not growing from it, and then becoming like, oh my God, this is my life because of this. And like, no, you got to get up and sometimes realize that it's not going to be like this forever. Like, it's just life. And the moment you accept that, it makes your life so much easier.
And sometimes people find identity in sorrow, innit? Sometimes it's comfortable
Yeah,
because you know who you
absolutely.
are.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I used to be
yeah.
one of them people, like, I know who I am when I'm angry. Like, when I'm pissed off, suddenly, my personality, I know who I am. But who are you outside of that? Because actually, we're ever changing. And that's scary to know that you're not fixed to a point.
Yeah.
So, but sorrow is fixed.
Yeah.
So I can cower in sorrow and grief because at least I know this is familiar to me. Everything else, like happiness, joy, what the peace, that looks very mad. That looks very, very mad over there.
Because it almost seems as though with sorrow and stuff, it can't get any worse.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're capped. Whereas with happiness, it's like, oh my God, like there's always a fear of it being taken away from you. So I feel like you can't revel in it. Whereas sadness, you can revel in it because it's like, I'm at my lowest
get
point.
any
Like,
worse.
how sad can I be?
Yeah.
It's easier to revel in it as opposed to joy. Yeah.
And
so true.
it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So before we go to share your magnificence then, I will just big up our show sponsor this week, who are BetterHelp. Just as we've been talking about, if there's anything interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals, we've literally just been discussing that. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help, it's professional counselling done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counsellor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room with everybody looking in your eyeballs. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counsellors if you need to. So start living a better, happier life today with BetterHelp. Visit their website and read the testimonials there if you want to. It's betterhelp.com/yourmind. That's betterhelp.com/yourmind, and join the over 1 million people who are taking that step and trying to figure shit out. So many people are using it that they've now got even more counsellors, and they're looking for more counsellors. So this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Say Your Mind listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/yourmind. So go and get your life. All right. So now on to share your magnificence. I know that you are the queens of solving dilemmas. So we have a message this week from a non-binary babe, and it's 4 minutes long, although I've told them to keep it to 1 minute. But everyone's literally just doing what they like.
Something's so long.
You know, they're doing what they like. So I'm going to play it, and hopefully we can hear it, and we'll see what we can do. Let's see if it comes through. I just turn this up.
Hi, Kalechi.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I guess I could say this is for Share Your Magnificence. but really I'm asking for advice, and I hope you don't mind. So a little while ago, I wrote into the podcast, and I opened myself up. And I told you and everybody listening that I was an actor and a writer and a director, and I had been going through some pretty great stuff. But that I had prevented myself from developing these talents because I was afraid. Well, I want to tell you some stuff. So a little while ago, it might have been on the Patreon, you did a tarot reading. And it was pretty funny because, well, guess what? I got laid off from my job that I hated, and I wasn't going to quit. And that gives me an opportunity. Now is the time for me to do this acting and writing and directing I say I want to do. And I don't know where to start because, to be frank, I'm quite socially isolated. And really, I don't fit. I don't fit into society. I don't fit where I am in the States. I don't fit with my family or any institution of higher learning. I don't fit in school. And to be frank, capitalism has no use for me. I'm trash to capitalism. I've always known this, and I've come to terms with it this year. I have. I'm useless because I don't work well within the system. Now, I can lean on a lot of privileges that others can't. I'm white, and I'm middle class, and I can even pass as male because I've been socialized that way, and, well, I've got the anatomy. Well, gee, I need to pursue this acting and writing and directing in a way that really reaches as many people as possible. I've always dreamed it. And of course, when I was a traumatized younger person than I am now, I also got caught up in, fantasies of fame and wealth. But really the desire behind that is an authentic one, a desire to express who I am to as many people as possible to contribute to a great spiritual awakening. Now, when I go to work on these skills, I find that when I'm not with people that I love and who really are on your level, when I don't have that, I burn out instantly. It's like I need a vessel to put my energies into because I have a sun's worth within my body. But without a vessel and without other people to corroborate that, there's no use. But I don't fit within institutions of higher learning. So here's where my question lies. I'm wondering if you have any advice on what I should do. Thank you very much. I love you very much, and I also love you, everyone who's listening, if you do play this. Thank you very much.
We love you too.
So much.
They have an amazing podcast voice.
Right?
Yeah.
That is like the sensational American podcast
Right?
voice
Yeah.
to a T. Oh my God, they have
Her
an amazing
voice.
voice.
Aww.
Their voice was really sweet. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
You're just a babe, just a babe.
I'm obsessed with people that pause when they talk.
That
Right?
take time.
Like,
Yeah.
I see someone is chasing me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Why do I do that? Like
Yeah.
a thief.
I've been
Like I'm on
talking.
running
I
on a
literally
timer.
talk
Like
yam
someone's
is in my
chasing
mouth.
me
Yeah.
or something hot. It's like, and then I was doing what I mean. What did you say? What did you just say, son?
Because if you just slow down, you get your words out. I'm like,
People understand what you're talking about. Oh,
as if I'm fighting.
yes, all the time.
That slightly made me sad though that they thought that they see themselves in that way.
That they don't fit into
yeah,
institutions,
because that
but-
must be really, really daunting.
I
And,
feel like it's lonely, but also quite powerful.
Yes.
but powerful when you feel able and that confidence to come out and do something.
I think they do.
This-
I
just need
don't
to
yeah,
think
they
they're
do.
tapping into it.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I think there was a massive power to be like, yo, I don't fit in here.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, you find a lot in your life, you're trying to fit in somewhere. You're trying to be like, if it's not this box, it's this box, it's this box, it's this box, sorry. There is something to be like, actually, no.
Right.
None of the tick boxes fit me. I am this person. I am this entity of my own. And I think that is the start of really going there, you know? Like, I feel like whenever I've actually been like, I've forced movement,
Yeah.
it's when I've been like, I am this.
Yeah.
This doesn't fit into me. And I'm the kind of person that when I was younger, I've tried to fit into different groups.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was a baddie, maybe if I was this member, it's just telling me this is what you are. And that's been when I found success.
Yeah.
Right.
When I haven't been like, you're just a writer, you just write about beauty. No, you can fit into all of these boxes. So I think this person has. I think they know exactly who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
And I think it's just time to kind of like use that to push you forward.
Right.
I understand the need to feel like I need other people around me or else I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain. You don't necessarily need people around you. I understand that it's important to feel seen.
Yeah. And I think as well, the power and the beauty for this person is the fact that they could be opening up the door for so many other people that they don't even know that they're doing, or that they do know that they're doing, but they've just been afraid to do it. And you do not know how many people would relate to you. And that would be so grateful and thankful for the fact that you were so brave to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
And I think actually, just to tie a nice bow on what the girls have said, I think that will help you to find these people.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I think there is a power in recognizing something about yourself that maybe because I feel like you've patterned, you've got the life cheat code, because a lot of us do
don't know
spend
yet.
most of our time trying to fit into boxes. Most of us don't actually know who we are. You definitely sound like you know who you are. And I feel like once you recognize that and you hold on to that, like, yeah, of course, like you can inspire other people, but that might bring other people to you as well. That might be like, do you know what, me too. Like I thought I was the only person, and then that can like ignite friendships and stuff like that. And I definitely think that you should go for what you want to go for. Like in terms of acting, like 100% do it, because maybe you can channel all of this sort of misplaced energy into that and into your art. Do you know what I mean? And once again, you never know how it's going to resonate with people. But yeah, the power is within you, which is like the message of the tarot as well, right?
Yeah.
So it all goes hand in hand. So yeah, I think just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
No, it's true. That resonates with me, definitely, everything that you've all said. Non-binary babe, Erica, exactly what these wonderful women have just told you. It's that, like, write your thing. Like, the only way that you can act, write and direct is to start acting, writing and directing, right? And you can start in small ways. TikTok is right there.
Yeah.
If you just start making, because absolute superstars have been discovered of things like
people are getting
like TikTok, YouTube. Write something very small. Like if we're talking about like really, really practical steps, write something very, very small that you perform and put it out there on somewhere like TikTok, and you'll find, just like Audrey said, your people will find you. But first, you have to be able to put that signal out there, like, here I am, and your content will resonate with the people who it's meant for, and they'll come to it. Like, honestly, when I was like, oh, I'm going to start this podcast and I'm basically going to talk about like current affairs and there's going to be tarot, it wouldn't have made sense to anybody when I was explaining what it is that I wanted to do. So I didn't explain, because I just knew that it wasn't out there already and I just had to do it, and it wasn't going to fit neatly into anything, and it still doesn't fit neatly into anything. Like when you try and find a category for it, I can't put it anywhere. And for a long time that really, really frustrated me, because I was just like, but surely there has to be a category that this fits into. Can't fit into current affairs, can't really fit into comedy, can't really fit into religion and spirituality, although that's where it sort of is now. And then I just had to be okay with the fact that it is what it is. And sure enough, people found it regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that, yes, it's scary. Yes, it's lonely when you feel like, oh, you know, I don't know how this is going to work and I haven't found people that get me, because that energy or that kind of feeling of burnout, totally relate to it. When you're in a room of people and you're like, I don't vibe.
None of you get it.
And that's not because I think like I'm better than anyone. We're just different. But eventually, oh my God, we're going to have to even pause in a bit. But eventually, you find your people. Like you definitely find your people. So 2 slaps on your chest, non-binary baby. My non-binary baby, two slaps on your chest for being magnificent, and literally all you've got to do is just start the thing.
Yeah.
Use TikTok, use Reels, whatever you want. Just start creating something small, and watch. Watch how your abundance will start finding you in terms of friends, in terms of opportunities, and that's what we want for you. So that's that part of Share Your Magnificence, and then we come to the book. So what I've done with your wonderful book is just selected pieces and selected places that I just thought, like, let's pick up on there and get you in the hot seat. And discuss it, because I think that what you've done so well with the Receipts podcast over the years is that we've very much been able to see your personalities as individuals, and this book accentuates that. Like, we're getting to see all of you as individuals. So I wanted to speak to you as individuals. So start with you, Audrey. This bit I chose here are two bits actually. I lost my virginity a little later than most people at the age of 18, and it was with a much older man. Looking back, I was probably groomed, but I didn't realise it at the time. He was someone I grew up with on the estate. He had moved away, and I lived on his own, but would come back to see his mum most weekends. Like a typical lusty teenager, I'd obsessed over him for years, and he knew it. I'd accidentally on purpose walked past his house when he was doing work on his car, and he'd engage with me every time. Eventually, we exchanged numbers, and he texted me every time he was in the area. Then one day, I got the "wanna link" text, and I lost my shit. I put on the Tammy Girl jeans and my FC UK t-shirt. I went to meet him. He took me to his house, and I lost my virginity to him. I think deep down, I knew it would happen that day. I felt ready, and it was with someone I really fancied. It didn't feel good at all. It just hurt, and I bled so much. He dropped me home, and I was convinced of two things: that my mum knew and that I was pregnant. Neither were true, thankfully. That I have to take a moment and say, like, as people who are like age mates, I think it's fucking incredible that how vulnerable you are on a podcast. Like, everyone's vulnerable, but you talk in a way that I just think is interesting, because you're just like, fuck it. There's just that energy of fuck it.
Yeah.
And because you're so like, fuck it, there are other women who have gone uni around the same time, grown up around the same time, that you're giving so much liberation to. Just like Erica's voice note, they're realizing that they're not alone. And for you to share something like this, what kind of inspired you to be like, well, I'm going to put it in? I mean, I know you've already talked about it on the podcast, but that was in a more... I think, like, with podcasts, you can talk about things, and but then you immortalize something in a book. Yeah. How was that for you?
It was definitely... I definitely think there is a difference between saying things and writing things down. Because there's so many things I've said on here that could just be passing comments, or do you know what I mean? You don't really stop and take them in because it's a conversation. Yeah. You move on to the next thing. Whereas with the book, actually, like, you kind of have to, when you're writing, you really do have to like stop and think, like, but I think that's why I do it. Do you know what I mean? I love being an open book, like genuinely. That's how I've always been. Even just around people I first meet, I can't help it. Like, I don't know. I just don't have a problem with it. Like, I have no issues being vulnerable. I have no issues like sharing things about my life, because it's my truth. Yeah. At the end of the day, and I feel like no one can take that away from me. It is what it is. It happened. It's my version of events. And yeah, I just think that if you're going to do something, you kind of have to do it properly. And I think that with us and like the whole premise of the podcast, it was about authenticity. It was about honesty. And I think that if I wasn't going to do that and give myself fully, then I wouldn't want to do it at all. Do you know what I mean? So the same thing can be said for the book. And just what you were saying about people like our age mates and stuff, I get that so often. And that kind of spurs me on a little bit, because even just yesterday I was out and two black women approached me and they were like, love the book, I finished it already, it's so good. Like, they were like, oh, like, you really speak for us. And I think that, like, I say it often, I think I'm part of a generation which is quite strange, because we don't feel grown. On paper, we're grown. 35. You're a big woman.
Big woman.
But you don't necessarily feel it. Like, you still feel young at heart. You still feel like you can do what the kids do. Do you know what I mean? So I think it is a weird space. So I think that my representation is important for that group of people, because we're not really seen, really, especially black women. So so I have no issues like being vulnerable, just because it's like my personality anyway. And then add to the fact that it's helping people. Like, oh my God, let's go.
But do you feel like the more known that you're becoming, it's getting harder to be as vulnerable? Yeah. Because people are holding on to the things that you say, and they're not taking it as like, you know, like Gemma Collins can say something, right? As
Yeah.
a white woman, she can just say, I mean, not that she doesn't get, backlash or whatever, but she can just say stuff, and because they're white women, they can just talk. But then you say something
Yeah.
as a 35-year-old black woman
Yeah.
of West African descent, and then it's just like, well, why do you think that it was okay to say that?
Yeah.
Like when you said that
definitely.
you weed yourself on the podcast.
Yeah.
at the front door.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like I was dying. When I tell you I was dying, like I was just like, I get it.
I really did.
But, you know, like, but then it's out in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I think that black women are held to a different standard. Absolutely. Like we don't necessarily have that luxury, but I feel like part of why all of us are doing what we're doing was we're helping break those stereotypes down. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is why it's kind of important to lead in that way. Like, I can't think of that. Like, obviously, it is the more visible you become, the harder it is to give as much, because I feel like the scrutiny is harder.
Yeah.
But at the same time, someone has to go through it to make it easier, to make it normal. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone doesn't do it first, it never becomes normal. And I'm not even saying that that's my logic, because I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's only after the fact that you can look back and think, oh, well, actually, yeah, you might deal with this level of like visceral or whatever, but it does make it worth it in the end. But again, I'm not thinking that when I'm doing it. I'm just talking, and it's kind of like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But 100%. But I feel like for me, when it comes back to the podcast, I feel like this is my thing. Like the book is like my thing. Yeah. If you want to know what I'm thinking, you can come to my space.
Yes.
I'm more conscious about what I say in other people's spaces because you don't have control over that.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But over here, if I say something crazy, I can correct myself on my own platform.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or I can fix it, or I've explained it on a deeper level in the book.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people that want to know the truth and the people that actually genuinely give a shit will go to those places. Everybody else, you just have to block it out because they're committed to hating you.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of your other bits that I wanted to pick up on was just soon after that, you said initially I had a fear of talking about sex so much on the podcast because women get so judged so harshly and are immediately labelled if they do so. But when you don't let labels define you, it can't offend you, especially when you've done the work to unlearn so many patriarchal tropes about sex. In turn, we found that we've actually helped a lot of women to also be open about what they want and don't want in the bedroom. It's okay to masturbate. It's okay to not. It's okay to watch porn within reason. And it's definitely okay to enjoy sex. I've talked about the hoe phase so many times, and this can be misconstrued as advocating for promiscuity, but it really isn't. The hoe phase for one person might be dating and getting to know a number of people or a number of men or women simultaneously. And for another person, it might be a casual sex with no strings attached as a way to get to know yourself and your body. As long as you're honest and safe, it's your body and your choice. However, what I would say is that before you embark on your hoe phase, you should know yourself and your boundaries with sex. You should, with sex, I think women can be shamed either way because I've also seen modesty shaming. Everything boils down to knowing yourself, and it's definitely okay to feel that the sexual liberation movement isn't for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's what you've kind of covered already with what we've been talking about. And I feel like it's amazing. I think that you've done great work for that. And I know you often say that you don't feel like an Aries, but that's a very Aries thing to do.
Really?
to forge ahead and just be like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And just go and do what I haven't seen done before and see how it works out.
Yeah, 100%. Like I go with the wind kind of person. Do you know what I mean? I try not to I just do things. I really just be doing.
See what happens.
I just
see what
exactly.
happens.
Yeah, I just be doing things and just be talking.
Queen of the Von Dutch hat.
Exactly. Yeah.
And your Insta lives. I love when Tolly's on and she's like, get fuck
off.
now. Get off Insta.
That's after hour two.
Can't enjoy again.
No.
Can't enjoy again. Please, no.
The way people cussing, I'm trying to go away. I was like, trust me, I just need to protect her.
Because I will be spilling my own tea on there,
She will
especially when I'm
be.
drinking on there. Oh my God, it's so bad.
When I see like Audrey's, I'm like, oh,
That's what I'm doing tonight.
You can feed yourself. Audrey's live. I'll see you later. Tolly.
Hello.
All right. So this bit, because you've done so much, and we know you to be someone of so many interests and talents, right? And on the podcast, you very much come across as like, this is what we're doing, guys.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing, guys. And you've mentioned often about not having that space, I guess, to be vulnerable, but talking about it through therapy. So I think it's amazing here that one of the biggest things that I feel like has happened to you was one of the things that that you touch on here, where you say, my dad's death changed my relationship with my siblings. It was after his death that I was able to tell my brother I loved him and felt warmth run through my body when he said it back. The language in my family has changed and conversations now end with love you. We all have a longing to be around each other, to live a life that makes each other feel good. We feel like a team now. I feel like that was a lot for you. As somebody that doesn't let people in on much
At all.
and I think that we're very similar in that way. Like, I'll give you the 5% that I'm giving you now, but in terms of my personal life, you can fuck right off.
Absolutely.
You're not having that. So is there a shift happening for you? And I'm noticing the books that you're reading in here that you've mentioned as well, and then Lil Sims recommended now books all about love. Are you finding that these things, the books that you're taking on and the I guess experiences and languages and things that you're taking on is shifting how you relate to yourself, as well as therapy, shifting how you relate to yourself, but also shifting how you relate to others?
Yeah, I used to pride myself, I still kind of do, in that, like, I will give you a 20 and in your mind you got 100% of me.
Yeah.
Like, as in, I told it, it's such a way that you're like, yeah, I know her, man.
Yeah.
Fully know Talani, she's told me everything. And I just be like, that's a young 20%. I'm very, like, guarded with myself. And for the longest time, that was my way of keeping me safe.
Yeah.
My safety is of utmost importance.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is not even a physical thing or someone can physically hurt me or anything like that. But
So
as in, like, my safety, my space, what I, like, it's just kind of been like, it's felt like it's only been my job to protect it. I've never felt like anybody else felt needed to protect it.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm like, I can be very guarded. I'm like, but people think I'm vulnerable. It's great. But I can be very, very guarded. I can be like, okay, no, like, I just have to keep safe.
Yeah.
And I find that, and this, every time I say this, I feel like I am talking badly about the people that love me, and I'm not. But until recently, nobody has made me feel like it's their job to look after me.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I go out of my way to make people feel like I'm here to look after you. And it's not their fault. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Because it's how I do the whole I don't need you.
Yeah.
So of course they can't look after me. And even, like, one of my favourite relationships in the world, and I love this guy to bits, is that, like, he looks after me, but I find it so difficult because I'm like, let me help you. Let me pay you back. Let me, like, I feel like I'm a useless friend to him because there's nothing I can really do because he just doesn't allow it, and he just kind of, like, every other relationship feels transactional.
Yeah.
And even though it's not like I do it because then they'll love me back or whatever, like, or even friendships, it's just how it works, isn't it? Like, you have to do things for people, you have to look after people. So again, in the sense of that, I look after me, I keep me safe, I do all these things for me, I don't let anyone in. So even like, act like you niggas ain't it.
Honestly, that part.
Celia Banks, and then I say niggas, I mean, it's non-gender specific. You're not it sort of thing. Like, the internet is not a safe space, and often I find that sometimes the podcast is not a safe space. So I'm like, there are no safe spaces apart from what's within me, so I'm going to keep that. So with the book, I was just like, you're carrying a lot, Talani, you know? You can reintroduce people to yourselves. So that wasn't even a reintroduction to it was kind of like a cry for my help for people around me. Like, I'm reintroducing myself as someone that needs you lot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, look after me. Like, let me feel like I can also leave things to you guys as well.
Because you didn't go for the archetype of the youngest child because you're the eldest, right?
Yeah.
You didn't go for the archetype of the youngest. You almost went for the archetype of the eldest, which is what where I've been. And I think that what I enjoy so much about your podcast is because I relate to all of you, each of you, in very different ways. And that energy of, like, not having protection and needing to be the one that goes out to be the protector. It's like, well, actually, they are transactional because subconsciously, if I protect you lot enough, maybe one day somebody will come and
Exactly.
But what happens when nobody is fucking coming? When nobody's coming to save you, what now?
And when I lived like that, even when I talk about my dad's death, it never felt like mine. I'll be honest. Like, it was never felt like my grief. Like I said in the previous episode, I was so sad for my sister. I was like, shit, she lost her dad. She must be so sad. And then when I told my mum, I was like, oh my God, my mum's lost. That was her husband at one point. She must be so sad. And again, when I remember, like, my dad's got a best friend that I've known my whole life, and he messaged me and I was like, fuck, he's lost his best friend. There was no time when I was like, I didn't know you've lost your dad. Everything else was, I could only feel that grief by feeling sorry for everyone else. So I was like, oh, my poor brother. Like, I know he's like, my nieces and nephews, they've lost their granddad. It was never felt like, wait, Lana, you've lost your dad.
But it's that way of empathizing with people feeling your feelings, but trying to feel it through other people.
Exactly. And everyone knows that I probably had, out of all of us, the worst relationship with my dad. So no one even at that point asked if I was okay.
Right. But then
because
I
of
read
course
your
you are.
piece,
You're not even that bothered.
Yeah,
right?
you're not,
You wrote the monologue, and that's when I knew. And I remember calling you and saying to you, like, you've described this person when you sent me their the character profile, and you want me to do this monologue, which I think is amazing, and I'm waiting for it to be a play. But you sent me this monologue, and you said describe the character as ditzy. Why? And I was just like, well, I don't think she is, because instantly I recognized that character is still part of you. Right?
Yeah.
And so let's do her justice by acknowledging that she does have that strength to her and that grit to her, but she's still going to feel these things that are very complex to feel, right? And I think that because you'd written that before your dad passed, you were already trying to work through it in a way that no one else was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like it was Father's Day recently, isn't it? And I was like, wow, no one's checked on me.
Wow.
I thought that's mad. And eventually 2 people did. And I was just like, do you not think I hated him? I was like, do you not just think I'm having like a funky time right now? Sort of thing. And again, it is down to me having to reintroduce myself to people that, I'm going through it, you know, and because I've never been that person. Like even people like, sorry, but I'm like, that's cool. Like I'm like that straight away. I'm very like, I'm fine. Like even something happened recently in Audrey was like, I'll come man. I was like, no, it's cool. Because I also battled being a victim.
And that's what I want to touch on. That is it.
Hate it.
And I think that you talked about it more prior to, from I don't know when you started therapy. But you definitely talked about it more before therapy, or before you started mentioning therapy more, about not liking that idea of being a victim. Just not liking that idea of like, woe is me, like the world is beating me up. Like you motherfuckers aren't going to beat me up. Right? But at the same time, acknowledging that some shit has really happened.
Right.
And so how do you find that you hold space for yourself with those two truths? Some shit has really happened. You didn't get all of the love that you deserved. You didn't get the protection that you deserved as a child, and as a big black woman. You did, you know, like growing up in all of us are big women, right? We not getting the protection that we deserved, but still not wanting to be victim.
It's best when you start doing, I can do big bad by myself. Like it's cool, innit? Like I'll be alright in it. Like I was the short feisty girl in school. I was all of those tropes. I did it all. Like cool, I'll be big bad by myself. If I'm gonna convince myself that I don't need it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like no one can actually feel sorry for me, because to be felt sorry for is for me to sit in the sadness and to realise what's happened. And I hate what comes with being felt sorry for. Because then everyone's tender around you for ages.
But you deserve the tenderness.
It's really, really weird. And I want it. And you want the tenderness.
I was just about to say that.
Like,
you need it.
I don't know, man. And it's because it's like, okay, be tender today, but tomorrow don't now treat me like I can break. It's cool. I'm fine. I'll be okay, sort of thing. And yeah, man, I've just always learnt to like, all right, Tani. Like, come on, babe. Sort of thing. Like I self-talk a lot. I tell myself off a lot. And often the voice that tells myself off is in Yoruba. So I know that's my mum. I know it's not.
Likewise.
Yeah. The voice that when I tell myself off, I will call myself my full name. Like in my head, like, come on, I'm not telling you what's like. As in like straight, I tell myself, I have a self-narrative, but that is always telling me off. Or like planning things and seeing how badly things can go. It's filled with fear. It's filled with shame. It tells me off a lot. And when you're talking about your past self, I have this interesting thing where I feel like my past self let me down. I feel like I'm angry at that past self often. Like, oh, if you didn't fucking stick around so long. If you didn't do this so long. Do you know what I mean? Like things would have moved different in your life right now, sort of thing. So yeah, there's a whole journey in like allowing myself to feel tender. And that's why I have this really strong, like, men do this and women do this. Because I want to be around someone that allows me to be tender. Because I can do it. I can be big and bad for both of us. But just allow me to be tender here. But like allow me. That's what it is, just allow me.
But then it's that when you're going through those dating stages, you're not going to be tender.
This
one wants to fight. This one wants to fight. So I don't know how we're gonna do this. But I think that's interesting when we talk about the past selves and like And I think that's why that card was so perfect when it says like you've got to embrace even that part that made the decisions that they made and stayed for maybe longer than you would have stayed now. But then and I think you know, I talked about it on a podcast a few episodes ago, maybe ages ago, about the fact that we've got to thank our past selves because if they hadn't held on, we literally would not have been here. Like of all the decisions that we may have like been like, well, I wouldn't fucking do that now. They could have made some even worse decisions that would literally mean that you do not actually exist now.
Right now, that is very true.
But upon all the heartbreak, I want to die, oh my God. But they still held on.
Absolutely.
They still went to that job interview. Even upon heartbreak, they still went to that job interview. They still went and did all of them things. And yet here you are. And if the past self hadn't done that, like you wouldn't have the wealth of information now, data that you have now to process and to be where you are. And so I often try to do this thing where I go into different timelines. It's very woo-woo, but I go into different timelines and I thank those different parts of me. The same way that I'm going to reach out to my future self and say, well, thank you. Because I know that we're living lavish right now. I'm not quite there. Like, thank you. So if you can send me some help back, I'd greatly appreciate it. Like, send me that idea that gets us there. And meanwhile, past self that did all of the things, like, big up yourself too, because, you know, we did what we needed to do to get where we are. And then, okay, Milena.
I'm interested.
My mum came over from Colombia with my auntie Mia in the 90s, already pregnant with me at 22. She didn't know the language and had no money. She was only meant to stay for 6 months, but she eventually overstayed her welcome and spent many years as an illegal immigrant. This led to her moving out of my tia's home and leaving me with her. This was the best thing to do in her mind, as if she ever got caught. At least I had some stability with my living arrangements. I only discovered this a couple of years back. And for a very long time, I felt like she had abandoned me, just like my dad. I remember in a therapy session where I spoke about this particular part of my life, and my therapist says, when your mum left you and your dad left you, it was easier for you to blame yourself and think you weren't enough than it was to paint them in a negative light. I was like, well, damn girl, okay. You really wanted to fight me today, innit? But it was true. Throughout my life, I had major attachment issues with friends, partners, and just anybody who came into my life. I always felt at some point that they would just up and leave me, and that was incredibly hard to unlearn. I love my mum, I do, but our turbulent relationship is extreme. We are either so sweet with each other or literally screaming at one another. It is draining. Many people from traditional households can probably relate to this, but my mum doesn't like taking accountability, and that response can feel like there's no point in having the conversation. So all the feelings stay pent up inside. This can be especially damaging when the buildup of emotions turn into resentment and anger, leading to a toxic or distant relationship. Sometimes I do feel bad about the way our relationship is, and I always try to remind myself that she hasn't had it easy. How is that for you as a mum now? I'm thinking about, because you write that, but I jumped past that bit. You write that about now being a mum. You realise that there are some decisions that you have to make, and it's not always the easy decision, but you would have thought, wow, I would never have done that. I would have never left my child.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult because, do you know what? I've been in therapy for a whole year, and I've only dabbled into me and my mum's relationship a little bit. And my therapist has left me to it, but as of recently, she's like, no, we really need to focus on your mum. We really need to have these conversations, because though we've touched on her a little bit, we haven't really gone into things in depth. And I just feel like, because I know the kind of person that she is in terms of will not take accountability or will not listen to me, and there's always an excuse, and there's always just something, for me, there's like no point to even touch on it.
Yeah.
So me now as a mum, in my mind, I'm like, cool, there are things that you actually haven't taught me, but subconsciously you have, because everything that I tried to do with my daughter is what you didn't do with me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a harsh reality to internalize, because when you have that title, mum, how I feel about my mum shouldn't fall under that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So feeling let down, feeling disappointed, feeling like I wasn't listened to, feeling all of these things makes me feel guilty as fuck.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes down to Catalea, I was having a conversation with my therapist, and she was like, what's one thing that you know that Catalea will always grow up knowing from you? And I was like, the self-love that I instill into this little girl
Yeah.
is everything. Me and Catalea, every single day I tell her, tell me 2 things that you love about you. Anytime she comes and shows me something that she's done, I'll tell her it's amazing, but I ask her, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because I never want her to seek validation from other people.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about it. If you love it, that's enough.
Yeah.
And I said, I know that little girl, when she grows up, she's going to say to me, my mum done that. She done that.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
confidence that I ooze and that I express, that I walk with is from my mum.
Yeah.
And it was something that my mum never done with me.
Yeah. But then she didn't get the chance, right?
But then, like I said, if you read the book and if you've listened to the podcast and you understand my mum's story, how can somebody give love when she wasn't raised in a household with love? The only person was my auntie.
Yes.
She grew up in a house where they saw she was different.
Yeah.
My mum's Afro-Latina.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She grew up looking at her siblings, her adoptive siblings, completely different.
Yeah.
They treated her like she was the runt of the litter.
Yeah. Yeah.
My grandmother, God rest her soul, like I feel bad talking on her, but she used to serve my mum food on the floor outside of her door because
Wow. So how can we show love when we haven't had an example
Right.
of what that love is meant to look like? And what is it like for you? Because you mentioned about the attachment with friendships and relationships.
I was so bad.
Looking for your mum everywhere you go in relationships, because that we do that. There is an element of us that looks for that thing that we don't feel like we had. We look for it in everywhere else, and so we add extra burden to relationships that don't need it and can't survive with the weight of it.
Yeah, I think I was not only looking for my mother, I was looking for my dad.
Yeah.
So I was looking for 2 people in relationships, in friendships, and it was a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah.
Like sometimes my friend would be like, one of my best friends, she'd be like, babe, just chill out. I've not spoken to you for 1 day, okay? And I'm like, yeah, but you haven't checked in on me.
Yeah.
Like you haven't said, how are you? Or I've told you I'm going through something. And sometimes I have to remember that everyone else has got their own life as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's really, really difficult, especially when you've got your younger self screaming for that protection, that love, and that want of just feeling wanted and needed in this life.
Yeah.
So, and do you know what? My mum came to the book launch and I was really nervous for her to come because I wanted to share that moment with her, but it wasn't until like a couple of hours before, no, that day actually, that I was like, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it, just come then. And I was so happy that I'd done that because she was so proud of me. And the next day she was like, I tell you I love you all the time, even though it might have been late, but I'm so proud of the woman that you are and the mother that you are. And I feel like there's a sense of guilt there from her as well, that she is too afraid to admit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why she doesn't like talking about things, why, you know, she doesn't explain things to me and stuff like that. So I think that was a real turning point for us, like taking her to that book launch and me feeling like, and even Audrey, I was like, oh my God, your mum, like, she's actually really nice. And I was like, yeah, she is, you know, like she is nice. And I'm like, I actually need to stop holding on to so much.
In your own time, right?
Yeah.
But then also for you, considering the way that, and I think for all of us really, considering the way that we birth our mothers, you know, Walstonshire has the collection of poems where I'm teaching my mother how to give birth. And so sometimes like your parents birth their healing. And so like what I feel like this is something I had to learn with my mum, like for so long I held that kind of resentment. I've grown up with like my mum, right? But you know, I was born in Nigeria. I came here when I was 5 and I came to meet her here and she was already pregnant with my brother. And so I came into a whole new family dynamic and I always felt like the outsider in that new family dynamic. And then it's even though I could see that she was like working, doing her things, doing these, that still in my mind allowed for the abuse to happen, right? And so I wasn't protected. So I had to learn very, very fast how to protect myself. And so for years there's been that kind of difference or that space between us. And it's only when I started kind of going my journey of like really learning and spirituality and everything else that then I was finding my healing, through my speaking out, through doing the things that I was doing. She was able to realize that she was able to do these things. So then in a way, I started considering the narrative of how sometimes we give birth to our healing. 100%. And so even though like your mum, you know, had to make the decisions that she made and had to go away. Like, you are part of her healing, and actually being able to come to the book launch was amazing because she got to experience that. And like you say, like sometimes the grief can be, or the guilt can be so overwhelming. Like somebody needs to take time with that because you don't know how it's going to knock her the fuck out to have to process just how she was not there.
Because that must be hard. Like me as a mum, now, if my daughter ever said to me, if Katalea was like, oh, well, mum, you wasn't there. And no, that's why anytime I leave now, I make sure that I explain to her where I'm going. Because we think that kids don't understand, but they do. When we went on tour and we was away every weekend for 2 months, that was the hardest for me. But I made sure that anytime I wasn't there, you know why I'm not there. And I'm not just up and leaving and then you think that you've been abandoned. And because that's just a continuation of the feelings that I had growing up.
That you want to, and we don't want to repeat that cycle. No. But I'm glad that I got to kind of chat with you all about that. So for those of you who are watching or listening, like go and keep the receipts. Like I can't be reading you every single fucking page. There's no point. But I just wanted you to see like the depth and the wealth of just feeling and emotion and experience that's here, that's in this book that deserves to be explored. I think that like we all need to be able to hold space for each other in that way. And here are 3 women sharing like parts of themselves that no other fuckers are sharing, right? So I implore you to get involved. It's out already, so go and get your copy. And I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, tweets about it and tweets about this episode and how it resonated with you. We're going to jump So You Mad this week because we all got places to be. And we're going to jump to Straw of the Week because I think like you've had like so much, like you've been given so much. So Straw of the Week.
Let's go.
Who's getting it?
Who's getting it?
I mean, who else? England as a whole.
The whole of England.
Who else could be getting freaking Straw of the Week? I mean, like, what else could we possibly say? Actually, to start with, though, I'm going to play what you had to say because you lot weren't playing. The moment the racist abuse started, you lot started firing in your voice notes. So I'll play 2 of the voice notes that came in. Here we go. Let's see.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here's a math problem for you all. If 3 black football players missed penalties in the so-called match of the century, what does that equal to? You guessed it, racism. So let me take a sip of water to make sure I say this real smooth.
Yeah.
All of you racist-ass England fans can go and suck your mothers. And you know what you can suck out with? That same red flare that some dotty bongle jammed in his cheesy backside before the match. And I don't even want you to light up a new one. Go and get that same flare and pass it like a joint, yeah? Go suck out. Anyways, love you dearly, Kelechi. I hope finds you and your family well.
Boy, and here we go. Here we go.
Hey Kelechi, I hope things are good your end despite the recent football news. I just want to say the people that are coming out, especially white people, saying that the racism
mainly
is just, they're not really fans and they're just idiots, need to suck up their mothers. And people still want to act like these things are separate from the systems that we have in place. The systems that benefit and reward this racist behaviour and ideology. So people, especially white people, but some black people as well, need to really stop acting like, oh, this is such a surprise. This has never happened before. It's been going on for years. If it didn't do shit during the decade of peace and brotherly love, then it ain't going to do shit now. And people need to fucking wake up and start calling out their friends and families that come out with shit after the game as well, instead of just silently tapping on their phone in disapproval, but not actually calling them out. Anyway, take care, Kelechi.
I love the change of tone.
I love how they end with love. It's so
everybody. Anyway, Kelechi, I think you're beautiful. Have a lovely life.
I mean, who else could the Straw of the Week go out to if not the stupid, like, racist motherfuckers that claim to support England? And I feel like it's definitely something that needs to be explored. I know that they said that Boris Johnson and the FA or whoever have said that they don't approve, or UEFA, they don't approve of the behaviour of those fans. But how the fuck did you expect it to come home, fam? How did you expect it to come home when you can't give back people's things? Start off there. Start off there. If you gave my things back, this curse would uplift. Give everybody their things back and we can start there. And people are like, well, but Italy's also a colonizer. Okay, cool. I see your point. But how many countries outside of Italy speak Italian and how many countries outside of England speak English? So that just goes to show you the severity, the vastness of Britain's colonization in comparison to Italy's colonization. I'm not saying that Italy doesn't need to get badded up. Don't worry. The angels from Africa are going to go and get them. I'm going to go and fucking get them as well. But what I'm focused on in this situation is what Britain has done to me and mine personally. Italy will get their flogging on their own day.
Exactly.
But you can't be expecting to win when the black players are taking...
Exactly.
Right?
They're
taking a knee and you're like, boo. Boo. They're literally like, here's my humanity. Guys, my humanity. People like me are dying. Dalian Atkinson, he got killed by a police officer. There's so many reasons that these men are taking a knee and you are just vexed, but you still expect them to bang goals.
Exactly.
That when they should be, you're talking about, if you weren't taking the knee, you would have had time to focus on the sport. Well, you know what?
Shut the fuck up.
If they weren't having to figure out how to feed your fucking children,
How about that?
right? Because your prime minister that you voted in, if they weren't focused on doing that, maybe they would have had enough energy to really do what they needed to do. But I feel that that's bullshit anyway. I think they had the energy, they did what needed to be done, and things just played out the way that they played out. It's mad though, innit? That the goalkeeper missed 2 goals, innit? You didn't see, Right, but you're not going to go.
energy
Oh, of
is
course
not
not.
there.
Of course not.
No.
He's not getting
Come on,
the
he's
energy.
a white
It's-
Pickford.
Right,
Pickford.
His
right.
name is. He's a British man.
Right?
Yeah.
He had all these opportunities to save the goals and he didn't save 2 from what I understand.
Yeah.
Right. But then these individuals only had 1 shot to kick that ball into the goal. And 3 of them missed their individual shots, but you let in 2 as 1 individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
It's just ridiculous. Not to mention that England have got this far because of the contribution that those players have made.
right?
And I just find it just... I don't think I'll ever get my head around it, to be completely honest. It's like, how do you even expect people to get into that headspace? Because before I'm about to take that penalty, I'm thinking the whole country's going to hate
my
me.
race, everything.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how can you even play that? How can you even go in, be in that position, relaxed to even win, knowing what's to come after the fact?
Yeah.
And you motherfuckers, you show your ass continuously.
Every
Like
day.
continuously.
Yeah.
Like there's never been a day where it's been like, oh, actually, maybe they'll surprise us and they'll just say, do you know what? Well done, lad. You
Yeah.
brought us this
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
No, you actually have to go
The furthest
and take
you've ever
the
fucking
furthest
been.
you have
Ever.
actually gone.
1966.
Literally, and it's like
1966.
instead of you to kiss their asses and say thank you, this is what you're actually doing, and this is what I was saying before. I just feel like people are committed to hating you. There's nothing you can do about it because even if those goals went in, those people that are going out of their way to say the disgusting things they're saying, they would find another angle.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because ultimately it's jealousy that is killing these people. It's jealousy that they don't have these skills and blah blah blah. So the racism is inevitable, really, and it's just a shame, and that's why I just tried to just be disconnected from it because I knew this was coming.
Wait, so then I'll bang them goals in and I'll win for you. I'll win the final.
Yeah.
The thing will come home.
Yeah.
The 3
Yeah.
lions will be on the shirt
Yeah.
and they'll be doing soup. And you're going to put a white footballer
Oh, of course, on the front page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
yeah,
exactly.
Brings it home.
That's all they'll do.
After
I
me.
scored.
That
it.
is all they'll do.
absolutely.
Personally. That's all they'll do.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Do you know
to
what I mean?
Shaw's got a score
Yeah.
in the first 2
He
minutes.
passed the ball 30 minutes ago.
He brought the
Listen.
momentum.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
He brought the momentum.
That's
It
what
wasn't
it
all of
is.
you lot
Yeah.
that had to
Yeah.
score the penalties. It was Shaw that brought the momentum.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when Sterling took them, should I say, not even us, them, into the semi-finals, they were like, we don't see no colour.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
We love everybody.
We're all
one.
Black Lives Matter. The moment Rashford...
But that's the thing with this country, though. Your love, your humanism, it's based on what you've done for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your contribution?
Yeah.
Like you consistently, as a Black Brit, feel like you have to prove your worth in
Yes.
this country. And like, I'm British because I did this.
Yeah.
I have to earn my
I
stay.
have to earn my stay. I don't have to earn my stay.
No.
Like I don't. I actually don't. Actually, the same one. You don't earn it. You don't do anything. In
Yeah,
fact, you take
basically.
from it.
Exactly.
If anything, I give to it.
We do more.
You
You
consistently
remove.
take from it, and I consistently have to prove why I'm worth being here to you.
And I know that all of you lot are bigging up Southgate and all of those things. And while I want to agree, you had seasoned strikers that you could have chosen.
She's a 19-year-old kid.
You chose a 19, and then before anything has even happened, you're like, oh, guys, don't blame him. Nobody's even started blaming him yet, and you've already put the words into their mouth.
Of course.
Someone can say, oh, yeah, but he would have known, he would have expected it. But at the same time, no. Like, you put a 19-year-old, like, this is his first time doing this stuff, and then you're like, oh, yeah, you go and take it. Why didn't Grealish?
The thing is, I don't even know if it's a stretch, but I don't even know if I trust that. I know nothing about football.
I think it was a setup.
I don't know. There's something about it
like
that doesn't sit well with me because it's, I don't know. And do you know what? It's so sad that we have to think it, but I can't put anything
But
past.
I know the evil of this country.
Yeah, exactly. I can't.
But when you start with your wartime rhetoric, like, oh, we're bringing it home, we're doing this and that, and everybody knows when it comes to anything national, I am bad vibes when it comes to anything national. I don't want this country to win anything. I'm so sorry. I'm the same with the Olympics. And it's so hard because I see the talented black people that go up for this country. And so I have to make that kind of reconciliation where I'm like, I support the players, but I do not support this country.
How have you done that though? Because I find it very hard. I've got very mixed emotions about being a black Brit, and I find nationalism quite a hard one to deal with because when as a nation England's doing something, unless it's against Nigeria, I'm consistent. England. I still have that nationalism in me. How have you avoided that?
But this is the thing, because every time I have to remind myself, there's a picture that I have on my phone where and it's a white family, white British or English family, and they've got all black people behind them. I found it at the Slavery Museum, and they've written "Happy Xmas, Badagry" on their body. I think it was 1928. They've written on their body, and they're sitting there and they're posing. That's what reminds me every time. Every time I want to move mad, I look at that because it's a reminder that we no matter how much we've been socialized to go up for this country, we'll never be of this country. And that's why David Lammy every day is shouting up and down, like, oh, why can't I take black English? Because they don't want you.
Because you're
there.
not.
They don't want you there. I can take
Yeah.
black Welsh, I can take, because they don't want you there. And so it's just that reminder, like, why I rebuke it over my own life. Like, I rebuke it. I do not want anything that does not want me. Like, we can tolerate each other because you say that you're a tolerant country. I'll tolerate you. You tolerate me.
We're not killing you.
But I'm going to leave you. But I always find that interesting though, like, especially when, you know, there's been things before like, oh my God, her partner's white. What's she going to do in the race war? What are you lot going to fucking do in the race war? Because
I've been working out. I've been banging gyms.
I was ready in the race war. I know what side I'm picking, right? The side of sense. But suddenly, when you caught a whiff that trophy could come home, suddenly everyone was like, England. The same England that they'll win that trophy and they'll flog you at the end of it. Like, it's not going to change stop and search rates. It's not going to change anything. And while we can say that these things are separate, they're not. The same black boys that are banging them goals for you, that are running up and down that pitch, stressing out their heart, stressing out their lungs, let them get in a Range Rover and see if the police doesn't stop them. So outside of doing what you're doing that helps this country to be great, you are still not respected for the skin that you are in. So I don't see how I can necessarily ride for that. And I think that if we were more explicit about the fact that we are supporting these boys, we are not supporting this country, it would have helped to have that distinction, because suddenly seeing everyone doing England. I was like, so this is how they'll carry you lot away.
Mate,
just like that.
I got lost in the sauce, I can't lie. Just flying the flag. But that's what it was. It was the lads. It was the black boys that I was supporting. And I think sometimes as well, because I watched the match in an AF place. I was like, oh, Saka should play for Nigeria then. This is something that happened if he played for Nigeria. And it's just like...
First of all, it's the Euros.
Also shut up. Firstly, shut up, this makes no sense. But also it's like, I feel the need to support black people in these spaces.
Yes.
To feel like other black people are cheering you on as well, because all of the white people are not.
They're waiting for you to
mess up. I'm not waiting for you to fuck up. I'm consistently cheering you up. And even if
regardless.
anything happens to you, I'm here to like lift you up sort of thing. And by doing that, you do support the whole, like it feels like you're supporting the whole of England.
But then look at that. The moment that they lost, all of us now had to go and do
Start
prayer
doing that,
warrior.
exactly.
We had to go and do prayer warrior and start going to
That's
God
like
their
lifting
page
him up,
and doing like what is it? The Dora
Literally,
Milaje
you put
in
our
front
finger
of
up like this.
Yeah, we were ready. And Leona Nicole Black, she was like, so this is the country that you wanted to win. The
Mate,
moment that things didn't go
honestly.
their way, you have to go and defend. You literally have to go
As in,
and
I went to
create a
defense
shield.
mode straight away. As in, I call our sex and the black men that I know, like, you know, like, as in, like, please, like...
Didn't they dash someone into the Thames?
Yeah,
You
that's
fuck
just madness.
And this is the country that you wanted
No,
them to
And
win.
it's so deep because even I was talking to my mum earlier. She was like, "Oh God, please, they're speaking Yoruba. God, please, let them be like my will, like that law." And do you know I started because for once nobody will be racist. That's literally what mum said out of her mouth.
But actually, it would have been worse because what they would have done in that moment is gotten us all to join into their nationalism, right? And then that ethno-nationalism that they have, they will use it to ride and be like, "I thought you were riding for England. What's the problem? You should be riding for this too." It's so difficult. It's such a slippery slope when those things happen. But I have to always keep my wits about me. But I'm never one of those people that want to be a party pooper. So when everyone was doing up the thing, I just kept quiet. I just kept quiet because I know that the prayers that I've done and the things that I've seen in the card, you're not winning that. You're not going to. And I even said in the podcast last week, before we recorded this, I said, you're not going to smell that trophy. It's not coming home until you do right. What do you say?
Until you do right by me.
Exactly.
It ain't happening until you do right by me.
It's literally not. And I know that we've got other colonial states, and also I really implore people to do their learning and learn about their history, because you can't say all of Europe is racist when they're or all of Europe are colonizers, because there are literally countries that were colonized and within Europe. And I'm not talking about Scotland because they went and had a great time in the Caribbean. I'm talking about places outside of these British Isles, and they were colonized as well. And that's not to say that they're not enjoying their own fucking nationalism and being mad, but literally not everybody was a colonizer, so it's being aware of terminology, right? And so I would have preferred maybe for one of them man to win, not anyone, not Italy. And I wasn't going up for Italy either. Fuck them as well. I would have said fuck France as well. Like I wasn't. It's not like I'm riding for anyone because I think that they're all mad. But I understand that also we've just come out of something terrible. With the lockdown, with the pandemic.
And I think we just need something morale.
We needed,
morale.
Just something to lift the spirit. And it's like, oh, we can all agree about this, but what's it? He was lip-sync and rubbing teeth the other week.
Mancock.
There was
Mancock.
Yes,
Hancock
who were rubbing teeth with that girl the other week, and then they're teething our money right under our noses. Preeti's doing whatever she's doing with shipping out the Windrush generation. So much is happening. To me, the trophy was never going to be enough. Because after that fact, people are still getting deported.
And it's just also the fact that people I just hate this idea that we've got to prove to white people that we're worthy of just respect. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like that pressure subconsciously was falling on the players. It's like, if you guys do this is kind of going to be good for all of us. And I think that we do need to divorce ourselves from that. Because it is really, really dangerous, because as crazy as these hooligans can be, they're very aware of that. Like they do see it as that. It's like, you niggas prove yourself to us. Kind of thing. And it's like, and it's all that's all it is. That's the only reason they like the black players, because you're performing for them. You're in servitude to them. Do you know what I mean? It's not because they actually respect you, it's because they just see you as entertainment. The same way they used to love watching black people being lynched. To me, it's really not that different. It's just the only difference is like they're not slaves and they get paid. Do you know what I mean? But like, sports still is modern day slavery. That's another conversation we can get into another day. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just like, I wasn't invested in it because I just knew this would happen. I knew that regardless, those hooligans, whether we win or lose, they're not going to be racist for a day, but things are still going to go back to normal. They're still going to hate you. There's still people throw banana peels on the pitch. Do you know how wild that is? Like, nah, it's mental.
I always find it funny how they blame it.
Sorry, guys, before you guys go on, I got a school run to do.
We're gonna head out now. Head out now.
How it's like, oh, it's racism in football. No, it's racism in England.
Exactly.
It's not this plastic ball. That's the racist. It is England, in the people. It's deep rooted. Even the ones that feel like they've unlearned it and they're allies and they love the blacks and they sleep with black men and all of this. It's still deep. It's still inside. It's deep rooted, because as soon as an argument comes up, why is the first thing you black bitch?
Why is
literally,
it?
I
could just just call me a bitch. Why is that the first insult that comes to your head?
It's madness.
Will never change.
But no, that's it. So all of you wild racist supporters, take a straw and go and suck out your mothers for eternity. Go and suck out your mum for as long as it's going to take that trophy to fucking come home.
Another 45
it's going to be
years.
3066 before you smell that fucking thing. Until you do what you need to do, you will not smell that fucking trophy, you dickhead. Absolute dickhead. 3066. Go and mark it on the wall. Go and mark it on the wall. But that's that for this week's episode of SYM. I've been Kelechi Okafor.
I've been your girl Tolly T.
Just call me Audrey.
And your mamacita Milena Sanchez.
So thank you for listening to SYM, officially known as Say Your Mind, unofficially known as What?
Suck
Your Mom. Peace. Bye.
It's the Benz Brunani womanist. Baby boys, baby girls, you need to hear this. If you sit down, receive this realness. Make sure your cup's ready for the tea, we are go sip it, yo. Hard time scrolling for your long shorts. You might learn something you never know. Collect you fine, and she's one of a kind. Don't say you mine, say you mine.